to be the representation of Jesus Christ to people in practical ways. Meaning that if somebody comes to you and says, yeah, I've had sex with like 10 guys in the last week, your response is not, oh, sure, God, sure, sanctify me. No. Your response ought to be, tell me about it. What got you there? What are you feeling? How can I plug one of those holes in your heart? What can I do to be there for you in that moment of time? How can I? Yeah, that's what it means to not preach. Because at a certain point, people see you and they say it's not just what you say, it's who you are and what you do. That's what it means to influence the generation today. Because, let me tell you something. My wife will tell you, this is a crazy nerve you hit. Because it's so critical. Do you know that 45% of young adults aged, I think the research was age 21 to 35 or so, who say that they're no longer Christians, who they don't want anything to do with Christians. Those are people who have been in the church before. These are not people they never stepped in the church. No, these are people who came in the church and left and said, nah. What did they experience when they related with you to make them say that this Jesus thing, nah? What did they experience? So that's how you do it without preaching. You don't preach. You don't talk about how they're going to hell, your lifestyle is this. No, you just be there in a way that when Jesus Christ went from place to place, he didn't say, well, you're not saved, can't heal you. Jesus just loved people, was there for people, and he pointed them to their faith. Every time Jesus said, your faith has made you whole, what Jesus Christ was doing is that they had faith, they didn't know what it was. So he pointed out to their own innate ability to have faith in God that already existed and told them that thing that is already in them is profitable. You have faith. That's why you're healed. Jesus never had to say, make sure. He healed them. Your faith has made you whole. Go and sin no more. You don't have to preach.
Okay, that was good. All right, next question. Hopefully I say this right. I have never been and have not been interested in relationships or marriage. I think I am afraid of marriage and commitment. How do I work against this? I know marriage is honorable and what God wants for me, but the desire is not there, and I'm scared it will never be. Advice?
So deep, so real. Right? Oh my goodness, God is I'm telling you, God is here. Somewhere in my notes that I did talk about earlier is the answer to this question, and that tells me that this stuff is so relevant. You see, in marriage, there can't be fear. But the absence of fear doesn't mean that you don't still require faith. See, when we say in a situation, I'm not afraid, sometimes what we're saying is, I can see the situation is predictable. I'm good because I can predict the outcome. So therefore, I am not afraid. Get it? Right? I'm not afraid to go in this elevator because I can predict the outcome of going in this elevator, right? But sometimes, even when you don't have fear, you still need faith, because when you get into marriage, things will not always be predictable. There are things about my wife that I know now I didn't know when we were getting married. There are things she's realizing about me now that it's clearer that she didn't know. So at the point of marriage, I had to have enough faith that the person I was marrying and the path that got me there was a well-walked path, so that I'm able to overcome whatever obstacles may come. So to you who's asking, I'm afraid of marriage, don't be so focused at the end point, just focus on the journey from where you are to that point. Because if you do the journey right, and have the right foundations for marriage, the marriage works. I had a conversation, I went to Nigeria I just maybe had an event last August. I had an event, somebody came to me afterwards and said sort of the same thing. I have a boyfriend, we're good, we're not really talking about marriage, we're not really considering marriage. I said, great. I said, that's fantastic, tell me about it. Oh, it's just, my parents, and it's just, from the marriages I've seen, there's nothing that tells me, the divorce rate is 50%. I said, great. I said, but guess what? When you are in a committed relationship with somebody who is not married to you, okay, and you're there, everything is cute, and then you move in together, you combine your accounts, you pay your bills, naturally, outside of marriage, one person will always, or both of you will always be on the defense. Because the moment, in fact, you will not be able to fully commit to the future that God has ordained for you. Because if we're not married, say, okay, great, we'll live together and all that stuff. Why don't we build a house together? Okay, that's tying us even to more commitment. Okay, great. The moment something is wrong in that relationship, we had a fight, we're kind of insecure about where we are. Guess what that does to the plan to build a house? Because nobody's trying to stay committed in a relationship there, being tied down with a house, for example, and not be safe emotionally. In other words, when outside of marriage, what happens is that you always have an out. And when you have an out, you are not able to overcome the obstacles that come naturally in any relationship, and because of that, you never grow. So what happens is after a while, you remain at the same level of commitment that you were 10 years ago. Even though it was good, you will never grow. And if you allow yourself to grow, you will find out that why we're not married in the first place. So don't be afraid of the destination, marriage. Just concentrate on from where you are right now as a single person, what am I supposed to do? What are the things, the foundational things that I need to do to make sure that I can set myself up for a good marriage? When you do that, you will see that fear is gone. And let me tell you, in any marriage, you still need faith. Do not wait for a situation where things are so predictable, and then you say, okay, great, now I'm ready to get married. I know exactly what your career is. I know you're this. I know that. I know, okay, great. No, because things, this is marriage. But it's this that builds the strength that you need for that marriage.